Hello and welcome back to the Avoid the Tyrewall podcast. Today I'm joined by special guest Sophie Kettle. Sophie, do you want to tell us a bit about yourself?
Hi, my name is Sophie Kettle. I'm 17 years old. I'm from the Midlands and I race cars.
So how did you get into racing?
I got into racing when I was 15 due to a family friend. For about a year, I spent testing a little Corsa hill climb car on private property because I could never really afford to actually go racing on a racetrack. And when I was 16, I completed my first race event, which was really special to me because it made me the world's youngest female to ever complete a hill climb. And this was done at Chelsea Walsh.
Where is Chelsea Walsh?
Okay, so it's like, right. So you've got like it's near Worcester kind of thing. I believe it's actually in Chelsea Walsh. It's basically like a little valley and just a one-way road up, which they use as a racetrack.
Very nice. So what have you raced in so far? Like what championships or anything?
So for someone who isn't as fortunate, I'm quite lucky to have raced what I've raced. So obviously I started off in a little tiny Corsa, not very powerful and doesn't really go very fast, but it was a starting point. From that I went into Audi T2, and during that time I tested a Radical at a local track as well as a Ginetta at Blyton Park, and then most recently a modified Ford for the modified Ford series.
What is your aim in racing?
I would love to be able to one day complete in Le Mans. I think that's really special, and how that all works is quite unique. I love the idea of competing in an endurance race. I just think there's so many things into it that can play a great part.
Do you think that coming from a normal background has meant you face more challenges within racing?
I think it's definitely a lot harder coming into racing with little to no budget, because it also means I don't really have experience from karting, and I still don't. I can't afford to do karting as it keeps getting more expensive. And it means I really do have to rely on sponsors, which are quite hard to find nowadays, especially when you don't have the experience and the resorts.
What advice would you give to people who are getting into racing?
I would say it's probably better to get into racing at a younger age. It means you will have the results to back yourself if you can't afford to race on your own. But it's also something you can do at any age, so I'd obviously keep trying.
Which track is your favourite?
I think my favourite is Donington, not just because it's my home track, but also because there's so much opportunity for a good race as well as overtaking. And I really like the I don't know what it's called, like the change in levels.
Oh yeah,
Like
the
the
like altitude.
yeah, elevation.
Oh yeah, that's the one. Elevation.
Yeah, I think that's quite fun, especially coming down Crater curves. That's really fun as well.
What is your workout program like?
I try and go to the gym every day, but it's obviously hard trying to get there when I live in the middle of like literally nowhere. But when I do, I love doing cardio, and I think that's really important for racing, as it means you won't fatigue as quickly. But when I can't, I love going on runs because that's also quite useful cardio.
What's the biggest lesson that you've learned from racing?
I think the biggest lesson I've learned in racing is just to enjoy every moment, because racing won't always go your way, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's always over. There's so many opportunities in motorsport, and I'm sure one will come around.
If you could pick any number as your race number, which would you choose and why?
I would choose number 15 because it's when I started racing. It's also, I won with 15, so I'm going to stick with that number.
What is your ultimate road car?
I would love a Porsche. I think the Porsche 911 GT3 in pink, but I don't think it's very practical as a road car, so I'd probably go for like a BMW 4 Series convertible because they're quite stylish as well, and I'd have that in white.
Do you have any racing superstitions?
I don't think I have any, but whenever I always go racing or testing, I've got a little keychain which is like the blue evil eye. And I've never had an incident since I've been taking that with me, and it's meant for protection. So maybe, it's a bit of a good luck charm.
How do you prepare mentally for a race?
I always like to listen to music because I feel like it clears my mind and takes like any other issues out of it. And it just means I'm a lot more calm. And the pre-race nerves kind of just slip away when I'm listening to like quite happy music. So,
Who do you think would be your dream sponsor?
oh, okay, I'm gonna go for a bit of a girly sponsor, but I think I've got two. I really like Pretty Little Thing, and because their clothes are quite expensive, I feel like I need a bit of a discount on that. But also, I really like my makeup, so I'd probably go for like Elf, which boys won't know what that is, but I think Elf's such a good brand, and I always use Elf. So
What is one piece of advice that has stuck with you?
I think for every driver it's different, but for me, it's definitely to enjoy every minute because for someone who has to rely on sponsors, you never know when it's going to be over. And I think you get a lot of drivers who take some stuff too seriously and they don't seem to be enjoying it. And I think that can ruin it. But definitely to enjoy every minute and have fun with it.
Thank you for watching this week's episode of the Avoid the Tyrewall podcast, and make sure to go and follow Sophie. And if you have any way to help her race, make sure to contact her. See you next week. Bye.